What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 286 of #AskGSM here today for Wednesday, May 22nd, 2019. I am Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. And the madness has already begun. We had Money in the Bank on Sunday, which I was in attendance for. We have Double or Nothing this Saturday, which I'll be in attendance for with Mr. Marceau RJ in Las Vegas. My first time in Vegas, cannot fucking wait. And then we have TakeOver, NXT TakeOver in Bridgeport, TakeOver 25, the following Saturday, which I will also be in attendance for. So again, it's going to be a crazy next couple of weeks. Money in the Bank was an awesome experience. I'm talking all about that here on today's show, as well as on Wrestle Rant Radio tomorrow. Cheap plug. Check out the podcast tomorrow going up. I'm going to have Alexis coming on. Happy belated birthday to her. It was her birthday on Tuesday. She's going to be on the show tomorrow to help me break down our experience of the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But as far as #AskGSM goes, guys, if you want to send in a question to this show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Leave a question on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section of this very video, and I'll include it in next week's edition. So without further ado, let's get started here first with a Lane of the Y from YouTube. Their question was, alright, since the WWE 24/7 Championship is a thing, I just want to say that I am indifferent to the concept. I know the 24/7 period of the Hardcore Championship gets a lot of love, but there's a reason it got retired in 2002. And honestly, I'm just waiting to see how long until this gets retired too. The Hardcore Championship at least had a backstory and a few detailed feuds going for it to establish some sort of credibility to it before they added the 24/7 rule as a way to up the ante on the hardcore nature of the title. This new belt just got Mick Foley booed for trying to present a skee-ball token as a wrestling championship, and it's already the background joke for backstage segments involving people who have better things to do. So far, we know that Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Sami Zayn are all above the title because they weren't running around for it. The presentation is just a game of capture the flag at best, and I just don't see the longevity of it at all. How long do you personally think this will last? Probably not that long if we're being honest here. It's not a matter of how long it lasts. I just want to enjoy it while it lasts for what it is. And again, this is my personal opinion on it. Many other people here on today's video have asked about it, and I'll talk more in detail as we go along here. I love the concept of a 24/7 championship. As you said, it's obviously a title just for the undercarders. It's not going to be taken seriously, but I feel like that's the whole point of this championship. And maybe it sounds like I'm making excuses for it, and maybe that is the case, I'm not sure. But I really am partial to the idea of a 24/7 title. It makes things more interesting, albeit maybe for the next fucking 2 weeks before they forget all about it and no one cares anymore. But at least for right now, it's generated a lot of buzz. Good, bad, or indifferent, people are talking about this 24/7 title. And whether you like it or not, more people are talking about the 24/7 championship. And yeah, part of that is because it debuted on Monday. But more people are talking about this title than almost any other championship in this company right now. That's really saying something, and that's really fucking sad. Because yes, almost every championship right now in the company lacks prestige, lacks importance, lacks credibility, because we have so many fucking championships, and they're really not made out to mean anything, because the champions lose non-title matches all the time. Almost every single championship changed hands over WrestleMania weekend, which is fine. But it's like, if we have so many changes, so many title changes in one show, how much does it really mean to have a championship change hands? The Young Bucks just got done talking about this. I think specifically Nick Jackson on the latest Being the Elite episode. He was asked by a fan in their mailbag portion of the video, how many championships do you guys plan to have? And he said probably around 3 to 4, definitely only a few, because we want our title changes to mean something, and I feel like that's the absolute best course of action. Now, NXT is a smaller roster, so they really can't have more than a few titles, but I love the fact that they only have 4 championships. And yeah, they added a mid-card title about a year ago, which, maybe it wasn't all that necessary, and maybe it wasn't, but NXT is so big now that I feel like a mid-card title for that brand was so long overdue. So they have the NXT Championship, the North American Championship, the tag titles, and the women's title. That's all you really need. Now, granted, with the main roster, you muddy the waters a little bit when you have the brand split. So you kind of need 2 mid-card belts. Do we really need 2 tag team titles? That's the question. Because people I see are saying, oh, just merge the titles, merge the divisions, which honestly isn't a terrible idea. Just because they don't fucking mean anything anyway. Like, we have the Usos and the SmackDown Tag Team Champs trading victories in recent weeks. Why? But there was also no follow-up to that whatsoever, by the way. The Usos beat Bryan and Rowan on the kickoff show Money in the Bank. They lost to the Revival on Raw. No mention of the win from the Usos on SmackDown. I don't even think Bryan and Rowan were on the show. So, again, their titles mean almost nothing right now. This 24/7 title, you talked about how, it gives, we didn't really say this, but you said people like Bobby Lashley, McIntyre, Cena are clearly above the title. Honestly, that's fine. I don't expect to see them chasing after the championship anyway, nor do I really want to see that. It gives the undercarders something to do. Because I have personally complained about it have such a big fucking roster, most of which they don't know what to do with. They have almost too much talent that they don't know how to handle and what to book with them, how to book them, etc., etc. A guy like an EC3, the guy has not been seen on Raw since he got fucking buried by Braun Strowman about a week ago, or about a month ago during the Superstar Shakeup. Where the hell has he been? Aside from main event, where the hell has he been on Monday Night Raw? I think I saw him maybe 3 times on Raw this week during this whole 24/7 nonsense. Hey, you know what? It's more TV time than he was getting before. So I'm not going to poop on the idea. I like it. Do I see it lasting long? Not really. I know the hardcore title lasted, all of 3 or 4 years? And I forgot how much of that time the 24/7 rule was in effect. I think it was around, I don't really remember. I think it was only about a year, maybe? Because I know the hardcore title was defended at WrestleMania 17 in that 3-way, I think, with Kane, Big Show, and Test, maybe? I don't think it was Test. It was one of those people. Raven, I think. I think it was Raven. I don't think we had the 24/7 rule at that point. I don't think it was introduced until shortly afterward. And I like the rule. I think it's cool. Again, it gives me something to look forward to on the show every week. We were explaining this rule, Alexis and I, to her dad, who loosely watches the product, just yesterday, because he didn't watch Raw on Monday. And we were explaining the concept, and he starts laughing, because he loves it. He started watching SmackDown with us on Tuesday to see what they would do with it. And he loved it. The R-Truth, I think, the R-Truth thing, calling it the European title truth, has always made everything he's been a part of mean something and made it feel, exciting or fun. I'm not the biggest R-Truth fan, but he always takes whatever he has and turns it to gold. And I think this will be no different. Not to say that he's going to hold the championship forever, because it is a 24/7 title after all, but it's good for the shows. It could be good for the house shows if they do this on the house shows. And again, it's really all a matter of how far they go with it, because this could be all pie in the sky if they don't do any jack shit with this fucking title. If they don't do jack shit with this championship, then none of what I'm saying means anything. But it can make the shows mean more. It can make the house shows mean more. It can make social media mean more on their YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, the network. Shit like that. I think it's fucking cool. I think it's cool. So, again, we'll see how far they go with it. Will this be around forever? Probably not. They have way too many fucking titles right now. But I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I am. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I'm curious. And they have officially piqued my interest, which is something that cannot be said for almost all of the product right now when it comes to WWE. There's a lot of stuff on Raw and SmackDown going on at the moment, and I know I don't feel alone in saying this, that I just don't care about. But this is interesting, and it can be fun. And Raw lacks fun. So hopefully this can bring some more fun back to Raw and SmackDown. FD from Facebook, their first question was, a lot of people are unhappy that Brock Lesnar, without notice, came out of nowhere to become the new Mr. Money in the Bank, despite the fact that the match was heating up to be one of the best Money in the Bank ladder matches ever, making the whole match mean nothing with the outcome. Do you think that it is critical for all elite wrestling to try to grab anyone in the WWE universe who is not happy with how the product is right now, And do you think it is time for Vince McMahon to give up his leadership roles of creative and give Triple H a chance to turn this crisis around? The Triple H Vince thing, I talked about this a few weeks ago here on the show. Absolutely. That's not going to happen until Vince either relinquishes most of his control of creative when the XFL comes around. That may not even happen. That's just hypothetically speaking. And if that even doesn't happen, then it's probably not going to happen until Vince dies, because the guy will never give up his reins on creative control of this company. If anyone, it would be the Triple H, but even that I don't see happening anytime soon. For the first part of your question with the whole AEW Brock Lesnar thing, yeah, they should absolutely jump on this. I don't know if they need to go as far as having Jericho put out a tweet, which I know they didn't have him do this, and Jericho's just kind of known for this because he can kind of fucking do whatever he wants, I guess. Shitting on the finish, making fun of the fact that Brock Lesnar won the briefcase. Was it necessary? No. Was it funny? Yes. It's not going to make AEW look Bush League if they're taking shots at WWE. They shouldn't, but like Jericho doing it because he used to work there, whatever. And he also has history with Brock Lesnar. He's made no bones about the fact that he's not a big Brock Lesnar fan. I thought it was funny. Aside from that, though, they really should not be pushing like, hey, their product sucks, come watch ours. Like, Cody is very adamant about not competing with WWE because they know they can't beat WWE. They might be a better product quality-wise, but there's a lot of better fucking companies than WWE quality-wise. New Japan, Ring of Honor, even Impact some weeks. They're all better than Raw and sometimes SmackDown, but they're never going to beat WWE, being the fucking monopoly that the WWE is. So going to a different night, which I'm not sure if I talked about here on this show, but yeah, going to a different night on Tuesdays or on Wednesdays when SmackDown moves to Fridays is smart. That is very, very smart. But they couldn't be coming around at a better time because AEW being around gives us competition, but it gives us more alternatives. Another alternative to tune into if you're not happy with Raw or SmackDown. I like that a lot. I'm a big WWE fan. I always will be a WWE fan. I'm not going to choose one or the other. I'm going to watch both. I think a lot of people should be watching both. Or if you're so sick of WWE and only watch AEW, that's fine too. But to want to see AEW fail, I think is fucking ludicrous. Because the world of wrestling can only benefit from having more companies around, more competition, more alternatives to WWE. So I think this is as good of a time as any for AEW to be sprouting up in the wake of all this, not controversy, but like all this fan frustration and outrage regarding the product right now, specifically with Brock Lesnar winning the briefcase and where that might end up. People are very upset right now with WWE's creative direction. So AEW having Double or Nothing this weekend and then later having their own show a little later on in 2019. Again, perfect timing because hopefully this entices WWE to put forth a better product. So they're not, being buried quality-wise every single week, which I guess Vince could get away with because, again, he'll never really be beat overall by any other company. That being said, when TNA moved to Mondays, they really put their best foot forward with that, even though TNA really had no chance of beating them. They gave them a run for their money that night on the first Raw of 2010. So we'll see how much WWE changes between now in September, October, when AEW launches their weekly show on TNT. FD's second question here. Another type of fan base that are dissatisfied right now are the Game of Thrones fan base, where a majority of them are so furious and disappointed with how the final season was handled. So bad that they had a petition to the Game of Thrones production to redo the entire final season. My question is, do you agree on this being another case of a major franchise that seems to have failed to conclude their story that will satisfy their fans who are invested in following the series since the start? Also, do you see this as a sign of the beginning of the extinction of television as a media of entertainment if there are no more series that could see a huge cult following in the near future and creativity becomes the issue with TV series nowadays? So, this is a loaded question. You have two parts to your question. I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at with the first part of your question. I did understand the second part of your question. Basically, you're asking, with Game of Thrones being over, is the TV is the TV industry going to sink now because Game of Thrones is no more? Absolutely not. If it didn't before, it won't now. Obviously, TV is Not way worse off, but in terms of ratings it is compared to 15, 20 years ago. But just because Game of Thrones is no more doesn't mean that TV is going to die off. There's a lot of shows that people still watch, maybe that don't have the cult following that Game of Thrones does. TV's not going anywhere. Just because Game of Thrones ended, that's not really going to make that big of a difference, if any at all. That's on HBO. It's not like it's on primetime television or like on, NBC, ABC, blah, blah, blah. It's not like the fucking Friends or a Seinfeld. It's a little different. It's on HBO. It's structured a little differently. It's not like the show has been running every Monday for like 20 years now. Game of Thrones had one of the biggest hiatuses in recent memory. They just came back after like 2 years. So it's like people know what it's like to go without Game of Thrones. So it's not gonna it's not gonna impact TV as heavily as I think you think it will. Anyway, but when it comes to the first part of your question with the major franchise having failed to conclude their story that will satisfy fans. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between WWE and Game of Thrones, if that's what you're getting at here. A lot of similarities. There were a lot of pissed off people on Sunday between Brock Lesnar winning the briefcase and then Game of Thrones ending the way that it did. Some people liked it, some people didn't. From what I've seen, a lot of people did not like it. This whole final season, people have shit on. I don't watch the show. I've never watched the show. I really have no interest in watching the show. I don't have any spoilers for you, so don't worry about that. But still, the whole notion that they're going to redo the season because people are upset about it, get the fuck over it, you bunch of babies. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. If you were to do that, you open up a ginormous can of worms in redoing every episode and every season of every show that has ever ended that people weren't happy with. I saw people bring up, can we redo, jokingly, obviously. If they want to redo Game of Thrones, then why not How I Met Your Mother, or this show, or that show? And honestly, they're right. What makes Game of Thrones any better than any other show that has ever ended? Nothing. Game of Thrones might be a great show, but that doesn't make it any better or any, more important than How I Met Your Mother, or Seinfeld, or Friends, or what other, any other major show that ended on a lackluster note. Not to say that, Seinfeld and Friends did. I'm just kind of naming off shows that come to mind that were popular in the last 20 years. Frasier. I love that show. Anyway, I'm not a big TV guy, if you couldn't already tell. But, no, I just think it's fucking dumb. It's fucking dumb. Get over it, people. It ended the way that it did. Fucking deal with it. It sucked. No one's denying that. Some people are denying that, and rightfully so. You're entitled to your own opinion. But they're not going to redo the season or redo the show for you because you personally did not like it. Yeah, there might be a million people who signed the signature or who signed their signature on this dumbass petition. The change.org shit ain't going to do anything. It means absolutely nothing. You look like a fucking idiot for signing your name on such a worthless piece of shit. So fucking stop embarrassing yourself. I think that's so dumb to want them to redo an entire season just because it's bad. Deal with it. It came out the way that it did. You can't, no takesy backsies. Fucking deal with it. I just thought that was so stupid when I saw that online in the last couple weeks. So yeah, to answer your question, no, TV's not going anywhere. And WWE and Game of Thrones have a lot of similarities with fan frustration. But you just have to deal with it and hope it gets better. In Game of Thrones' case, it is what it is. You move on to the next show because they're not doing another season apparently, and they're not redoing it, which they shouldn't anyway. That's just fucking stupid. His next question, do you feel that the brand new WWE 24/7 Championship, aka the Hardcore Title 2.0, is relevant in today's pro wrestling scene compared to the Attitude Era, and will this be successful in the long run? Yeah, the 24/7 title was obviously a better fit back in the Attitude Era because anything can happen. It felt perfect for that time period. Does it feel a little out of place in 2019? Absolutely. But again, it's something different. And yeah, we've seen it before, but it's something different. At least for me, it gives me something to look forward to, if nothing else, on Raw and SmackDown every Monday and Tuesday. So, will it be successful in the long run? Probably not. When Titus O'Neil is your inaugural 24/7 champion, I can't imagine that this will be around for very long. And I know I'm not, that's not too far-fetched to say. This title might be done away with within 6 months to a year. I don't think that's as much of a stretch as some people may think it is. This company changes ideas on a whim, and if they're not working, they fucking scrap it pretty fucking quickly. I like it, though. I think it's fun. Is it relevant in today's pro wrestling scene? Again, I think it was a better fit in the Attitude Era, but is it relevant? Honestly, it might be more relevant today than at any other point in the existence of wrestling. Now with the rise in the popularity of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, the WWE fucking network, it is more relevant and more, again, not fitting, because again, I thought it was perfect in the Attitude Era for that time period, but it is more, the possibilities are endless in today's wrestling scene, with social media being as big as it is. So yeah, I do think it's relevant. I think they can make the most of it. They can have a lot of fun with it. What I saw on Tuesday before SmackDown in the videos with Matt Hardy and the Singh brothers and this guy, that guy, Heavy Machinery, they were fucking hilarious. I loved it. I thought it was really funny. So again, they gotta make the most of it. They can really, if they do it to its full potential, it can be a lot of fun. So, yeah, well, again, that's all a matter of if, though. There's a lot of things they could do. It's really a matter of whether they will do them. You know what I mean? There's a lot of potential with certain characters and gimmicks and championships, but if they don't go all the way with it, then what does it even matter? You know? So, we'll see. But I do like the idea of the title. There's a lot you can do with it, with social media being everywhere nowadays. House shows, network shows, Twitter. You know, do it in the airport, for God's sakes. Drake Maverick was hilarious, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. Drake Maverick was hilarious in his various videos on Twitter, talking about his hunt, his journey, and trying to find R-Truth to, procure the 24/7 championship. I thought those were great. They were fucking hilarious as hell. So, yeah, I like the idea of it. We'll see how long it lasts, though. I don't imagine it'll be long. It'll be for the, long run, but I'll enjoy it for what it is right now anyway. Their next question: did Mick Foley mention on last Monday's Raw that the 24/7 title can be held by non-WWE superstars like the DDT Iron Man title? If so, could there be a possibility that I might hold the title as well? I'm not sure. That's a good question, because Mick Foley only did say, and this was repeated in various other outlets. Mick Foley said it again in a WWE.com exclusive video later on in the night. They said this on the website, that the title could be held by Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, and 205 Live superstars. They said nothing about commentators, referees, any random dude on the street, the janitor that works at the XL Center in Hartford. They said nothing along those lines at all, which I think can make the concept even more fun and probably water it down even more. But I like the idea of it. That's what they did with the Hardcore Championship back in the day. I could see them having women hold it. I can absolutely see that. But I don't see it being defended against non-wrestlers. So he didn't say that. I don't think that'll be the case. I guess they could change it over time if they want to. They change shit on a whim all the time, like I said earlier. As of right now, as far as I'm aware anyway, that is not the case, and it can only be defended against people from those respective divisions, as I mentioned earlier. Thomas B. from Facebook, his question was, is Brock Lesnar being Money in the Bank, Mr. Money in the Bank, really what's best for business, considering the manner in which he won that match? Also, another question, did you see Chris Jericho's tweet trolling WWE after the pay-per-view Sunday? So, yeah, I talked about that before, but yeah, I saw the tweet. Was it necessary? Again, no. Was it funny? Yes. It's whatever. It's Chris Jericho. Maybe people would feel differently if Cody had put that out there, or the Young Bucks, or fucking MJF. Oh, that's sour grapes, how dare you throw, blah, blah, blah. But because it's Jericho, oh, it's funny, it's fine, who cares? I think there's some double standard there, because for a fucking fact that if anyone else from AEW put that tweet out there, specifically someone who had never worked in WWE before, or taking shots at Brock and blah, 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 the internet would not have liked that. Like, how dare you throw shots at WWE? You're a fucking t-shirt company, all this other shit. But because it's Jericho, we're going to let it pass. It's funny. Again, I don't really think it was necessary. Who gives a shit? Whatever Brock Lesnar or whatever Chris Jericho thinks about Brock Lesnar and their booking decisions. Stop watching the fucking show, dude. I feel like Jericho at this point is talking more about WWE than he is AEW. He did a whole podcast a week ago doing predictions for Money in the Bank and shitting on the creative, which was funny, and he's justified in doing so. But why? Who cares? Focus on your own product, dude. It's not a war if you keep talking about the rival. You sound like fucking Eric Bischoff from WCW on Nitro. Stop. Who cares? Move along. Pretend they don't even exist like they do you. Move on. Who cares? Anyway, though, with the Brock Lesnar thing, is it best for business? No, it's not. I mean, I thought it was a cool moment. I wasn't expecting it. So anyone who says, oh, WWE, way too predictable. Hey, that shit was not predictable. I don't know. I did not see anyone predicting that, expecting it, reporting it. I saw none of that shit. So it came out of nowhere. Probably not for the better, but I thought it was a cool outcome. Now, Brock Lesnar, it's really a matter of where they go with this. If they wait and they have Brock Lesnar cash in on the SmackDown of the Fox premiere in October, that would be cool. But that's also 5 months away, and they're promoting that Brock is going to reveal which champion he's going for on Monday. So, kind of defeats the purpose of the briefcase and the fact that it's, I can do it anytime I want, blah, 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 which I guess you don't always have to do, but, Braun Strowman announced ahead of time last year that he was cashing in, and Brock Lesnar, of all people, actually crashed that party. So that was kind of a waste of the briefcase, but anyway, I don't think it's what's best for business. I would have given the briefcase to almost anyone else, really, maybe aside from Baron Corbin. Drew McIntyre, Ali, Andrade, anyone who would be there the next day. That's really all I ask. But we didn't get that. This could be interesting. Beatbox Brock Lesnar, which we saw on Raw this week when he was holding the briefcase up to his ear and pretending like it was a boombox, was hilarious. But anyway, with Lesnar as Mr. Money in the Bank, it's really all a matter of where they go with it. On the surface, it's not best for business. I think long-term, Brock being back in the title picture, regardless of whether he has a briefcase or a Rumble victory, whatever the fucking case may be, I think is dumb just because we just saw him in the title picture at WrestleMania, and he lost. They need to get Brock as far as fucking away from that title picture as humanly possible. I am so done with Brock as Universal Champion, going after the Universal title. The WWE title, yeah, I guess it would be something new, but same concept. If he won the belt, he'd be in possession of the championship again for another 6 months and never show up on TV. It's the same shit over and over and over again. We've been through this process multiple times in the last 2 years. It's time to move on. We got to move on with fresh challengers here, people. Can't keep going back to the fucking Brock Lesnar well. But we'll see where they go with it. If they have him cash in and lose, which I guess would be more preferable than having him cash in and win, then a waste of the briefcase. You could have given him a shot some other way than having him win Money in the Bank. I do feel like it was a waste and that it was not what was best for business. Iwagu91, I believe that's how you pronounce it. You said that in your second tweet for today. You said Iwagu. And if I completely fucked that up, I apologize. If I got it right, tweet me letting me know so I pronounce it that way going forward too. But anyway, Iwuga91, his question was, your thoughts on the G1 Supercard event last month? I've talked about this a number of times. It was about a month and a half ago at this point. I was there. I loved it. I thought it was a great show. New Japan absolutely outshined Ring of Honor on that show. Okada and Jay White, awesome main event for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Naito and Ibushi, fantastic match. The three-way ladder match was good. Not great, but a pretty good ladder match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Good match there. Love Jeff Cobb and Will Ospreay for the never open weight and the Ring of Honor World Television titles. The show had a lot of great matches. The Allure debuting, the Allure, whatever their fucking name is. And then Enzo and Cass showing up. Not exactly great moments, but overall I thought it was a very enjoyable event. And I loved being there. Definitely ran a little too long, but I was expecting that. TakeOver ran long. WrestleMania ran long that weekend. It was hardly a surprise, but it was a great show, so I can't complain. Their second question, your thoughts on the 24/7 title as well as expectations for AEW Double or Nothing. Already talked plenty about the 24/7 title, but for AEW Double or Nothing this weekend, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great show. I'm kind of pissed that PAC and Neville is off the show. Not PAC and Neville. That's the same person. PAC and Adam Page is off the show. I'll talk more about that momentarily because someone else asked about that. But on paper, the card has a lot of potential. I would have to assume that AEW wants to come out of the gate with fucking, the best show possible to get people talking about their company and all this other stuff. So, I'm looking forward to the show. I do think Omega and Jericho will be a great main event. I think Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros will be the match of the night. Looking forward to that as well. Adam Page, they have yet to officially announce this, but I believe he's going to face like a mystery opponent, which has got to be Dean Ambrose. It has to be Jon Moxley. Because if it's not, who else can it possibly be? It's definitely not going to be CM Punk. I'll tell you that right now. Those are the only two people that would make sense. No one else is as big of a name as PAC. That would be a worthy replacement for him on that show against Adam Page. So it's got to be one or the other. Probably, definitely not Punk. So it would have to be Jon Moxley if I had to take a guess. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Again, I said that a million times, but I can't stress that enough. I'm very excited for the event and to be there on Saturday. My first time in Vegas. It's going to be a fun time with Mr. Marceau. At the Average Grunt from Twitter, Big Boy Battle Royal. Andre the Giant, Big Show, Undertaker, Kane, Bam Bam Bigelow, Braun Strowman, Kevin Owens, Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody, Vader, Umaga, Samoa Joe, Cactus Jack, The Road Warriors, Mark Henry, Mike Knox, Bully Ray, and Test. Who wins? Mike Knox is one of the most random additions in that match I've ever seen. You're naming off like Hall of Famer, former world champion, great in-ring talent, and then you have Mike Knox. I just thought that was the funniest thing. Though he's going to get tossed out first, I would promise you that. Of those people, and this might sound odd, but Kevin Owens, like he's a big guy, but he's not the biggest guy in there, which is why I feel like he would use his... He would be the person to hide under the ring for half the match and come out at the end to win the whole thing. I think Braun Strowman would win, and then Kevin Owens would steal the victory from him to win the whole Battle Royal by tossing him over the top rope. I feel like Andre and Big Show would cancel each other out the same way that Braun and Big Show did back at WrestleMania 33 in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Taker and Kane, maybe, but there's a lot of talent in there. Don't get me wrong. I feel like Bray Wyatt would be a complete afterthought when sharing the ring with these other guys. Umaga would be a close second in terms of who I think would win, but yeah, I got to go with Kevin Owens. I feel like his smarts would lead to victory for the former NXT champion. So I do think Kevin Owens would come out on top in that scenario. At Jeremy8911 from Twitter, his question was, he's got a couple questions here. First one being, do you think Charlotte Flair and Lacey Evans should become a tag team and take the titles from the Iconics and hold them till SummerSlam, where they lose them to Asuka and Kairi Sane? That would not be a bad idea. I actually said that in a Bleacher Report preview article, a prediction panel for Money in the Bank last Sunday. I think the article went up on Friday. And someone actually asked me about it on Twitter saying, hey, can you elaborate on this? I think Charlotte and Lacey, if Charlotte was to move away from the SmackDown women's title scene, having her go after the tag titles would be a breath of fresh air for the division and for her. Her and Lacey, I think, would be as good of a team as any for Charlotte to be a part of. I mean, obviously she has history with Sasha and Becky and Bayley, but none of whom... Sasha's gone right now. And Becky and Bayley, she is not on good terms with at the moment. So I think Lacey would make the most sense. They have a very common enemy in Becky Lynch. They both hate Becky Lynch. They're very much similar in the fact that they're both blondes and all this other shit. Charlotte can kind of make up for Lacey Evans' in-ring weaknesses. And I think it'd just be a good tag team. I know one's from SmackDown, one's from Raw, but the fucking wild card role, who cares? I guess is their mindset now. So it could work. I would love to see Charlotte and Lacey as a tag team. I don't think it's going to happen. Would I want to see them take the tag titles from the Iconics? I mean, it's two heel tag teams, so I don't think that's going to happen. I do think it's more likely that Asuka and Sane beat them for the belts before SummerSlam, if not at SummerSlam. I don't think Charlotte and Lacey will be a part of the title picture, the tag team title picture, anytime soon. Lacey is obviously not done with Becky Lynch, so that won't happen. But down the road, Charlotte and Lacey as a tag team, I'd be down for that. No doubt. I think Charlotte and Lacey would be a good tag team. It could help out Lacey, give something for Charlotte to do, something different for Charlotte to do. So I'd be on board with it. Jeremy's second question: Killian Dane made his return to NXT at a recent live event. Who would you like to see him feud with and face in NXT? Really face anybody. Killian Dane is an awesome talent that they obviously underutilized as part of Sanity on the main roster. Putting him back in NXT might be for the best, because he was going to be overshadowed on SmackDown. Lars Sullivan is kind of like their resident monster right now. They don't really need Killian Dane on SmackDown. So, yeah, Killian Dane in NXT I think is a good move. Who do I want to see him feud with and face? Keith Lee was the first name that came to mind for me. Keith Lee is a guy that's an awesome talent, but not really doing anything right now. He just came back from injury. He was supposed to be feuding with Dominik Dijakovic, but Dijakovic just got hurt, so that's not happening. He's kind of floundering at the moment, so that could be a good feud. Velveteen Dream is the man without a feud right now. I mean, I guess we're going to find out tonight who he's facing a TakeOver on NXT, a TakeOver 25 for the NXT North American title, but Killian Dane versus Dream could be a really good match. And then there's Kushida, another guy who just recently showed up in NXT, kind of without a feud right now. He did tease facing Drew Gulak at some point. I could see that happening on like the pre-takeover tapings, the TV tapings for NXT. But that would be a good match. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Kushida, Dream, Lee, any one of those guys would make for awesome opponents for Killian Dane in NXT. His next question, thoughts on Cesaro's new theme? I like it. It's better than what he was using before. I love the bar theme, don't get me wrong, but the bar is no more. I guess they could have gone back to the old Sirens, but that was never really a good theme to begin with. It kind of grew on me personally, but it was never a great theme. The new theme is a lot better. It screams like individual performer for Cesaro. I'm personally partial to his original theme. Not original theme, but like the theme that he used as United States champion back in like 2012, 2013. I thought that was a great fucking theme. And they ditched that for the Real American theme and then what he had before he joined up with Sheamus. So the new theme is good. It's not amazing, but it's good. And I like to see Cesaro flying solo. Not exactly a positive sign for Ricochet to be losing to Cesaro on the night after Money in the Bank. Now, granted, he was beat up, he was hurt. So was fucking Ali on SmackDown, and he still won. So that's not really an excuse. Ricochet really can't seem to win the big matches right now. But it's cool to see Cesaro winning, picking up a few victories. The guy's great. I doubt they'll ever really focus on him full time as a top-tier talent on either show. I think that time is come and gone, unfortunately. But the new theme is a nice step in the right direction. And his fourth question here, do you think Drake Maverick should play the Crash Holly role in the 24/7 division? Yes. That would be awesome. I already talked about earlier about how Drake Maverick with these videos on Twitter talking about, where's our truth? Where's the 24/7 champion? I think it's hilarious. I fucking love it. I think it's amazing. So I would absolutely love to see Drake Maverick in that role. Just doing shit like that where he's chasing after the champion, and at some point when he wins the title, which is only inevitable, people are going after him, and I could see Drake Maverick fighting for that title on a fucking ball pit at McDonald's. That's what I could say. So yeah, Drake Maverick is the new Crash Holly. I am all for that. At Reborn Again, John Ritland from the Twitter machine. Check out his awesome YouTube show, Real Honesty with John Ritland, and all its other great content here on YouTube. Just type in John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland. Any one of those searches will direct you right to his channel. And a great chat with John last week on Wrestle Rant Radio as well, so check that out if you haven't already. But his question was, so the 24/7 title, just why? Why have another championship when half of the ones on the main roster aren't used that well? Listen, I completely agree. We have way too many titles. When I saw the announcement at Money in the Bank that they were introducing a new championship on Raw, my first thought was, the fuck? Like, why do we need another championship? Now, the 24/7 thing, like I said, I'm in complete favor of. It's not supposed to mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's something for the jobbers to do. I personally like it. But there's a lot of other titles that don't mean anything right now. So yes, another championship isn't the answer to WWE's woes. But if they get creative with it, which is, again, it's a possibility, but not a big one. There's not a great chance of that happening because of this company's lack of effort to really do anything new and different and creative nowadays. I'm not sure how far it will go, but yeah, I agree. There's way too many titles right now in WWE, a lot of which they don't even need. Like, what was the fucking point of the women's tag team titles? It's a big moment for the women. They've done nothing with those championships. The Iconics have been awful champions. They had one title defense against two jobbers 2 nights after WrestleMania. They've pretty much lost every week since then. So what the fuck is the point? Who gives a shit? So yeah, introducing yet another title is just absolutely ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's a cool title nonetheless. Again, doesn't mean anything. Not supposed to mean anything. I love the concept. But maybe I'll feel differently in a month. Maybe I'll feel differently 6 months down the road and say, yeah, this championship is just a waste of time. Get rid of it. The same way that the Legends title or the TV title, and TNA was a complete waste after like 6 months to a year. It could be the same thing as that. They kind of forget about shit after a while anyway, like the women's tag team titles. I guess we'll soon find out. John's second question, do you think the whole PAC Hangman thing is just an elaborate work, the setup for a match on their debut show on TNT? I don't. I think this is a very real thing. I think that'd be great if that was the case. But I mean, Dave Meltzer reported on it. Take that for what it is. Take that with a grain of salt. I do think this is indeed a case of, which I find the whole thing very weird, with PAC not wanting to lose, because he's the current Dragon Gate open weight champion, whatever the fuck it is, like their top world champion over there in Dragon Gate. He takes that shit very seriously to the point where he doesn't want to lose. And because of that, he doesn't want to lose at Double or Nothing. Now, I don't think he was supposed to lose anyway, but I think the issue was that he didn't want to lose to Kenny Omega down the road, because that's what this match would set up. It would set up PAC and Omega for a later show, and PAC didn't want to lose that. He doesn't want to lose any matches as this Dragon Gate champion. So because of that, they called off the match. How the fuck did you not know that when you signed up to do this match months ago? And it's not entirely PAC's fault either. How did Cody and the Bucks and Omega, when they signed to do this match many months ago, not know that PAC didn't want to lose? And they didn't know what their future plans would be with PAC. Did they think they would always have him be undefeated? Like, not that there's bad blood between the two sides right now, but I find the whole thing very weird. And I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. He's already said he won't be in Vegas, so he won't even be there at Double or Nothing. It's not like, I can't even say it's not like AEW, because they barely even started. But I find it very hard to believe that they would promote this match for months only to do a bait and switch and not do it at the last minute, and then just hold it on the first TNT show. I feel like that's a big slap in the face and a big fuck you to everyone who was looking forward to that match. So no, I don't think this was a work from the start. I don't think this was a case where, you know, they figured from the beginning that, oh, it's going to be a work, we'll just build to it at Double or Nothing, only to build to it at the TNT show. I don't think that happened. I think it really is a case of PAC not wanting to lose, and the match just got, you know, it fell through because he didn't want to lose down the road to Kenny Omega, so they just pulled the whole fucking thing. And it sucks because I was looking forward to the match. They premiered it on the All Elite Wrestling YouTube channel yesterday, which was cool. And it was a good match, but I was looking forward to seeing it in person at Double or Nothing. What the fuck? So, no, I don't think it's a work. Not everything's a work. People thought the Jon Moxley shit was a work, which was fucking dumb. I guess people, even after he shows up at Double or Nothing, people will still say, oh, it's an inside job from Vince McMahon. It's a WWE work. Like, get the fuck over yourselves, people. But, no, I don't think it's a work, and I think it's just a giant fuck-up on AEW's part. Going off of that, from Scarlet One from Twitter, how much do you know of the issue between PAC and AEW, and what do you make of Hangman PAC, a match that was heavily advertised far in advance for AEW's first official event, Double or Nothing, being called off? So I just talked about it, but I think it's shitty. The fact that they got to this point where they're fucking days away from their biggest show, and the match isn't even happening. So that's pretty bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. It's a top-billed match. It's not like it's, you know, the 6-woman tag team match featuring women from a promotion I've never heard of before. It's not like that. It's a big match. Their first announced match for the pay-per-view back in January, February, whatever it was. I think it was January, actually. And yeah, just it's a mess. It's a mess. So hopefully we get the match at some point. Yeah, they did it on the YouTube channel. Again, good match. Ended in a DQ. So hopefully PAC can drop that title as soon as possible, because that shit is just becoming a problem at this point, because the guy refuses to lose. And that's, you know what, commendable that he wants to honor the prestige of the championship. Then why fucking agree to come into the promotion if you know you're going to be champion for a while and you know you don't want to lose? That's some dumb shit right there. That is embarrassing and it's stupid. Get over it. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of the match being called off. I was looking forward to it. Hopefully we can get it some point down the road. But again, here's hoping they can find a suitable replacement in a Jon Moxley. CM Punk isn't happening. Moxley's the only person that makes sense. Find me one other person that would make sense to face Hangman on this show. I'm waiting. Like, I can't think of a single person. I really can't. It has to be Dean Ambrose. Anyway, their second question. Have you heard about Ashley Massaro and the incident where she was sexually assaulted on a WWE-sponsored military trip, and Vince McMahon advised her to quote, not let one bad experience ruin the good work they were doing, unquote. Yeah, I read about that. That is so fucked up. So fucked up. The tweet that you tagged me in, relaying this story, which I had read days ago, has like upwards of 4,000 retweets and likes, which is great because I want the awareness to be out there. I want people to be aware of this story because this is fucked up in a real serious issue. First of all, thoughts and prayers and condolences with the Ashley Massaro family, friends, fans. Apparently she committed suicide by hanging. It was reported yesterday by TMZ, which is fucking terrible. Absolutely terrible. So sorry to hear that. But yeah, this thing with Vince and the Iraq trip and the fact that she was raped, sexually assaulted, and Vince didn't want her to say anything because they didn't want to ruin any of the good work they were doing over in Iraq is so fucked up. I can't even stress that enough. So hopefully this gets more traction. News outlets pick up on this. They give WWE shit for it. They do some investigating. I know WWE put out a statement last week about Ashley passing away. You know what? That's great. I'm glad they brought it up. I'm glad they put up the graphic at the beginning of the pay-per-view on Sunday. But they need to address this shit. Because if it didn't happen, they need to come out and say it. And if it did happen and they're just not saying anything, they don't want to deal with it, that's a big fucking problem. Because who's to say that this hasn't happened to someone else? Even working for the company right now. And they just don't want to say anything. That's pretty bad. This is how the whole, Me Too movement started. Because one person spoke out, and then more people come out. But they didn't say anything before because they didn't want their jobs to be in jeopardy. So this should absolutely be spread, and I hope people find out about this, and major mainstream outlets pick up on it and give WWE shit and investigate for it and investigate in on this issue. Find out more about it. Get to the bottom line of it and just, get to the bottom of it and figure out what's going on. Because if not, if it's one giant lie from Ashley, we should know. Because as of right now, on the surface, this does not make Vince or the company look very good. So I hope they look into it. Because if not, and this just gets swept under the rug and people forget about it within a week, that's very depressing. Their third question, what do you know of Big E's desire to win over Becky Lynch's ma? Yeah, I've been following this story on Twitter. It's interesting to say the least, with Big E having a big crush, I guess might be the right word, on Becky Lynch's mom for whatever reason. It's getting to an unhealthy level of obsession here with saying that he wants, there's some pretty explicit stuff here, so I won't exactly say it, but there was some rioting going on there, and it's just some very interesting things. And he actually brought it up in his return to SmackDown on Tuesday. So if you heard that and you were like, what the fuck is this all about? Well, there you go. People have reported about it. It's on Cage Side Seats. You can find out about it if you want, but Big E is, he needs to be pulled from Twitter. I'll just say that. The guy has a great Twitter, but it's getting to the point where I'm almost concerned for his well-being. Their next question, thoughts on WWE advertising Super Showdown in Jeddah, country unspecified, as good as or even better than WrestleMania. The Jeddah thing is just hilarious because they don't want to say Saudi Arabia because of the stench that the country's name has right now. They know they shouldn't be doing a show there, but they have to because the contract shit, and they know it would be a mess if they didn't. But not only that, they know they probably shouldn't have agreed to the deal in the first place, and most of all, they're making money off it, so why should they care? So they're going to say Jeddah. You would never know that the show is taking place in Saudi Arabia, even though they said that originally with the first show, the Greatest Royal Rumble, but they don't want to say that now because of the stench and the bad vibes that the two words Saudi Arabia has right now in the world. So they're saying Jeddah. The good as or even better than WrestleMania tagline is just hilarious to me. Mania was a good show. It's not going to be better. These Saudi Arabia shows are shit. The Greatest Royal Rumble sucked. Crown Jewel's even worse. That was one of the worst pay-per-views I've seen ever. And that's saying a lot. That show was atrocious. This show will not be much better. A 50-man battle royal? What a fucking clusterfuck. Triple H and Randy Orton. Now, again, the video package was well done. Do I need to see the match in 2019? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't care to see that in 2019. Those two matches, Undertaker and Goldberg, that has zero build. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley? Who gives a shit? I like Dolph Ziggler. Not as big of a fan of his as I was a long time ago. Him and Kofi should have a good match. It's very obvious that Dolph is only in that spot going for the WWE title at Super Showdown because Kevin Owens pulled out. It was reported last night by Fightful that Kevin Owens did not want to do the show in Saudi Arabia. Now, he was in the first Saudi Arabia show. He wasn't at Crown Jewel. He was hurt at the time. Probably because of the issues that Sami Zayn can't be on the show because he's Syrian, I believe, or whatever the case might be. Sami Zayn, I believe, cannot compete on those shows. So maybe he feels indifferent towards that, and he doesn't want to compete on these shows that his friend can't compete on. Daniel Bryan has already said he doesn't want to do the shows. John Cena has already said he doesn't want to do the shows. It's pretty bad. That's a lot of star power there, too. Roman Reigns at one point said he didn't want to do the shows either. Now, I don't know if he's currently advertised. Or no, he is. He's facing Shane at Super Showdown, so I take that back. At one point, he did say he didn't want to do the show, though. So I'm sure money talks, and they convinced him to do it. But yeah, the show is going to be a shit show. It's a fucking mess. No build. No one cares. So the tagline about it being good as or better than WrestleMania, yeah, maybe from a production standpoint, because they actually put money into the sets for Saudi Arabia, which you can't be surprised at just because they're making so much money off that deal. But still, will it be a better show? Obviously not. Best and worst of Money in the Bank. Best. Styles and Rollins was by far the best match in the entire show. The Money in the Bank ladder matches were also great. Loved both matches. Maybe not necessarily the outcome of the men's, but, whatever. Both matches were great nonetheless. And Bayley cashing in was also great. And I thought that was an amazing moment and the best moment on the entire show. So that was the best of the pay-per-view. The worst, Shane and Miz was not a good match. That frog splash for Miz was an embarrassment. It sucked. Shane winning was also just atrocious. Reigns and Elias was a glorified waste of time. I know it was like 3 seconds, but that was 3 seconds too many. No one cared about the match. And then to an extent, Becky and Lacey, and even Becky and Charlotte, like the whole Bayley cash-in was awesome. The 2 Becky matches on this show were not that good. The Evans match in particular wasn't bad, but it was a glorified Raw match. And really had no business being on pay-per-view. It just really was nothing. There was nothing special about it. That was more mediocre than anything. The only real matches I didn't truly care about were Shane and Miz and Roman and Elias. The Cruiserweight match was good. Tony Nese and Daivari. I went to the bathroom for half of it. But I heard that was a good match, and I saw the second half, and it was a good match. And just the crowd didn't care. So I guess you could put that in the worst category, too, because the crowd could not give 2 shits. You thought that the show was over based on the amount of people in the hallways during that match. That so many people got up from their seat to leave during the Cruiserweight title match. But it was still well wrestled, so I won't put it in the worst category here. But overall, I thought it was a very good show. A pretty good show. Wasn't great. I'd give it a 7, but partially because I was there. The experience is always a 10. But it was a good time, and I enjoyed myself. And that does it, guys, for episode 286 of Hashtag AskGSM here today. Thank you, as always, for sending in the questions. If you want to do so, send in a question at WrestleRant on Twitter with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. There we go. Leave a comment on the post. I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section of this very video. I'll include it in next week's edition. So with all that being said, guys, Double or Nothing this weekend. I cannot fucking wait. I leave for Las Vegas on Friday. And then Saturday is the show. Sunday I come back. It's going to be crazy. I'm planning, as of right now, to do a podcast with RG while we're there on Friday, breaking down Double or Nothing, previewing the pay-per-view, and that should be up on Next Day Wrestling as well as right here on YouTube in time for the show on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, guys, have a great rest of your week. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.